Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tanitra. Coming up on today's show, Falcons, Bengals tonight. It's time to see some return on that investment. I need to see more from that pitching rotation. And last but not least, and for the culture, what would you do if your wife asked you to? It's all next. ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start off by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. ATL Day Ones is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up in 10 minutes. Charlie Morton tried to prove me wrong, but I might have an idea that I might need to see a little bit more. But first, we got to talk about the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Cincinnati Bengals tonight. And, of course, if you are watching on YouTube, that is not Tanitra Batiste. That is Sam Crenshaw, the mayor of Atlanta himself. Yes, I know y'all thinking that Andre guy, but no, Sam Crenshaw is the mayor to me in my eyes of the mayor. Sam Crenshaw filling in for Tanitra Batiste, man. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm here. I don't know how Mayor Dickens going to feel about that, man. We don't want to get on his wrong side today, but always great to be with you, Jarvis. Always great. And, man, we got a lot happening right now.
Absolutely. There's a lot happening tonight at Mercedes Benz Stadium. The Falcons are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, like I mentioned earlier. And, Sam, the difference between tonight and last Friday against the Miami Dolphins, we're actually going to see some starters. Now, I know Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, they have put invested a lot in this team, and they have put their stock in QB1 Desmond Ridder. And by all reports, saying that Arthur Smith saying that he is going to play, but is that who you're looking for, or you got your eyes on some other parts of the game that you want to be able to see?
Well, obviously, you can't wait to see some of the starters tonight, and I think some of the Falcons fans are going to go out. They've heard so much about this team. If they haven't had a chance to come out to Flowery Branch to training camp to actually get a look at them on the field, they've heard about the new infusion of talent on the defensive side of the ball. They heard about the excitement on the offensive side of the ball, especially with our running back that we drafted, and can't wait to see him tonight. So there's a lot of things that people want to see that I want to see too. But I got to give Arthur Smith credit. He is consistent. Tap the brakes. We can't make the playoffs tonight. We can't make the Super Bowl tonight.
Right.
But it is a good step in the evaluation process and also that of chemistry. I mean, those guys got some work in last week before the preseason game down at Miami. And so now you're going to get to see them under the lights here against Cincinnati. I'm looking forward to seeing that and seeing who emerges as that second or third target as far as wide receiver goes, to see if this offensive line can still go downhill like they did last year, that as the season went on, because we thought that was going to be the weakness. We thought, we thought whoever's back there getting the ball is going to get killed because this offensive line is not going to be. That offensive line was fine for the run game. Let's see how they transition and evolve in their pass protection and give this young quarterback a chance to use the tools that are around him tonight. I am delighted and thrilled to see this team roll out. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we got some size. We got some experience. Don't look to see him play for a long time, but you do want to see him out there and get a mix. So I think everyone's excited tonight to see the starters get out something, get an idea, get a feel for what's coming up this season.
I think you bring up an interesting point when we talk about the offensive line, right? Because last year, going into the season, we knew that Arthur Smith wanted to run the football, right? And for them to be a top 5 running football team at the end of the season, I don't think anybody thought that would be the case. And obviously, you got a guy like Tyler Algier back there, drafted in the 5th round. Nobody saw that 1,000-yard season coming. I was joking, had Dylan filling in the other day, and I was like, Tyler Algier broke a record that happened before both of you and I were born, and we were in different generations.
And that was a surprise of last season. And that was why we
Right.
can't wait for this season. We
Right.
saw the team and we got to see some of the division. You got to see some of the vision of Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. You got to see the effort. There was some close losses that had people so frustrated last year because you were just short that talent, just short that experience, just short that player that had been in that environment before, been in that arena at that level that knows how to finish games. Now we have some of that with this team. We have guys who know how to finish games and get into the postseason, put us back in that situation now, and I think we get that win, and I think that's what has people so excited.
Yeah, I think Arthur Smith has definitely proven that he's a solid coach. And I think that as we get into the season, I think we're going to be able to have a good idea as to what he is, could be going forward, for the future of this team or this organization. Because here's the thing. We understand what the salary cap situation was and what it is now and how, hey, there's some bright lights. And I think that it starts tonight when the Falcons take on the Cincinnati Bengals, because we want to see what that investment looks like. We want to see if we can get some return tonight. We live in a microwave society, so we're in a space now. Hey man, I want to see what Jesse Bates talking about. I want to see what a $16 million safety looks like. All of those things. So, but there was one other thing I want to talk to you about as well. Is the hire of Ryan Nielsen. I thought was a very interesting one. We saw some names that they were talking to, some veteran guys that they thought about bringing in, and then here we go with Ryan Nielsen from the New Orleans Saints, who was the co-defensive coordinator, didn't call plays, and then we know Dennis Allen was the mind behind that defense. But as we started to dig into it this hire a little bit more, I started to find out this guy was big, real huge in Cam Jordan's development as a veteran, as far as limiting his snaps per game. And we talked about yesterday about how Grady Jarrett has played so many snaps, and we think that, I think that he's going to be able to be a little bit more productive with those with reduced snaps as a veteran. So the thing that he's been kind of preaching is the whole attack and aggressive.
Yeah.
We got a chance to see a little bit of that last week against the Dolphins with all the turnovers and the PBUs and the cornerbacks up there playing aggressive at the line of scrimmage and sending pressure from different levels. My whole thing, my question to you is okay, how we are sometimes. We've been used to this defense being average to below average to pitiful, and being one of the worst defenses in the league as far as getting to the quarterback. Do you need to see the veterans kind of do what we saw last week in order for you to say, okay, Ryan Nielsen might be on to something?
I think so. We don't maybe get the big bowl. We won't get the bowl, but give us a cup. Just give us a cup of it. As you give us
just a little bit. Just
a sip. That's what we want. Bud Dupree and guys who coming in that are established veterans in this league and can make a big difference with this defense. Yeah, I hope we get to get a sample of that tonight. How long we get to see them? Will it be several series? Will it be just the first quarter? Will it be the first half? Because you still got to establish some chemistry. You still got to establish those things, and this is where it's done. It's not done out on the practice field. It's done in a game situation, and so that's what you want to see tonight for this football team. So yeah, the defensive unit, you want to see some of those guys that investment, the money that we spent. I think the fans are expecting to see some of that tonight. I certainly am.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, everybody come out safe and unharmed.
That's what we want. But that's the reality of it, and we're hearing about it throughout the league. And it happens because of the game. But that's why you're trying to manage it the way that you do. As I always tell people, nobody buys a ticket to see a man on crutches. Everybody wants to buy a ticket, right? Everybody buys a ticket to want to see the best players play. And so the idea is to at least get them to the start line. You want to at least get them to the starting gate. And that's what this is all about, playing 3 preseason games rather than 4, doing the joint workouts together with another team to make up for what would have been that 4th game. But somehow you got to establish chemistry, but you still got to do your evaluations because you got so many guys, and guys are working hard in this camp. I think there's most of the most encouraging things about this camp, Jarvis, the last couple of years are guys who saw the vision. They get the vision of what Fontenot and Smith are trying to do here, and they want to be a part of what's happening. They hear guys like Cordero Patterson talking and chirping, and he's been since day one. He said, "I want to be here in Atlanta." It's contagious. It's infectious, and if you're there, you want to make it. You want to play here because you see what can possibly be happening in the future.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing. Like players buying in, because I know a lot of people always talk about how Dan Quinn era we got burnt out with the whole mantras and embrace the suck and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that when you have somebody speaking, it sounds like a mantra, but the difference is in this regime is like I'm starting to see it. I see the aggressiveness. I see what the attack and aggressive that Ryan Nissen is trying to project. I see what Arthur Smith is trying to do offensively, saying running out different formations, having different big bodies out there. There are guys that can positionless football, all that stuff. I'm starting to see it. So I think that's the difference between, hey, just blowing smoke up behind versus actually going out there and executing it and winning games. And like you said, getting some return on that investment. And we'll definitely see if that is the case tonight as the Falcons get ready to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. This episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It is the #1 sportsbook in America. And guess what, folks? The football season is right here. We're talking about preseason games, but the regular season is right around the corner. So here's what FanDuel is trying to do. They're trying to give you a chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on the Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. And guess what? Bonus bets can be placed on anything. Spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Yes, if you want to bet on the Falcons, they got something right there for you. So all you need to do is go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, and take advantage and put some money down on who you think you'll win the Super Bowl, and you're going to get bonus bets to be able to bet on whatever you want. Player props, over-unders, the anything you want to do, anything, our wins, all that. They have all that right there for you. And make sure you do mess with FanDuel because it is the official sportsbook betting partner of the National Football League. It is ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra, sitting here with Sam Crenshaw, the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickinson. Hey man, no shade, but Sam Crenshaw is the mayor to me. Man, he knows each and every person on this planet in the state of Georgia. So yeah, that's my guy. Sam joining us today. Sam, I know the Atlanta Braves. They are sitting here with roughly about 42 games left, and to be honest with you, it's so hard to kind of pick and choose and say, hey, okay, all right, here's what's wrong with this team. And, especially when they're 12 and a half games, in front of the closest person in the NLE. So, but as of late, obviously, we have to talk about the issues that they've had in the starting rotation, starting with Max Fried and Kyle Wright, in the beginning of the season. Now Max Fried is back. He had some really good starts, and he had a little shaky start. And then now, Kyle Wright's supposed to be back in September-ish, so we don't know what that time frame looks like. But, Spencer Strider had his struggles. Charlie Morton had his struggles. And I've talked about how Charlie Morton wasn't going to make it, Sam. And then, leading up to that start against the Yankees, he had 22 walks in his last 5 starts. He was just out of control, literally, from a pitcher standpoint. But I think he heard what I was talking about, saying, hey, I still got some juice in the tank. And then he goes out and strikes out 10 batters and only walks 1 against the Yankees. But do you feel like I'm still in a space where I feel like I need to see more? I need to see more in order to feel better because, like I said, I still feel the same way I feel about Charlie Morton because, like, he's up there in age. And I just really feel like he's not in a space where he can give you that consistency like we saw against the New York Yankees.
And that's a question, too. I was talking with someone recently and say, okay, you start the playoffs today. Who is your starting rotation with this team? Because you got some people who come back, Fried just come back, but Strider, he's on. He's get double-digit strikeouts. I think his last time out seemed like he's working on a third pitch, which he needs.
Yes,
Because some
absolutely.
people have figured out, okay, if we just put the bat out there and meet it sometime, we can steal a home run on this guy. He's been
Mm-hmm.
susceptible to that lately, and that's the one thing that has you concerned about him. But we'll see what happens with him and Bryce Elder. As well. He's had his hot, he's had his cold, he's had more hot than cold, but he's had his moments too. It's a long season. It's a very long season, but now, Jarvis, now you pay attention to the teams on their schedule that they may see again in October, and that's the big thing about this series this weekend with the Giants. This is a
Mm-hmm.
team that they could very well see again in October, and that's what makes these games big. Yeah, beating the Mets is a big deal because everybody said the Mets were going to win everything when the season started, and then the Yankees come in town. That's always a deal when the Yankees come to Atlanta. That's nice. That's nice to beat those guys. But here's a team that could be a roadblock to you getting to the World Series later on this season. You got to handle your business against this Giants team because they really caught fire here about a month ago, and nobody was
Mm-hmm.
talking about them. The
Yeah.
D-backs and the Dodgers were leading the way out west, and all of a sudden, here come the Giants right now. And so let's watch this weekend series. I think is going to be big for this team.
Yeah, and you know what? And the Giants, like you said, like they kind of been a little up and down as of late. I know the last 10 games were 3-7, so they've been catching hot and cold. So they're trying to find their consistency as well. And I think that when you have a guy like a guy like Spencer Strider and Yanni Chirinos coming to the plate. Coming to the mound. I think that I can have confidence in a guy like Strider, but Yanni Chirinos, that's the guy
Yeah.
that for me that's just like I just don't like his name being thrown out there, in that starting rotation. But I am encouraged though to see Spencer Strider, to start this series against the San Francisco Giants because, like I said, I'm looking for more consistency from Charlie Morton. I'm definitely looking for more consistency from Spencer Strider.
Now, you give Brian Snitker his credit. I mean, he's going to give guys a chance. He's going to give them a chance. Some people say that's a little bit of the Bobby Cox in him. He's going,
Right.
he's
Oh
going,
yeah.
he's going to give,
Oh yeah.
he's going to give a guy a chance, and to prove if he can be a consistent contributor. Because right now, you look at a guy like Torinos. He's there. You're not looking at him to be a starter when you get to the postseason, but you definitely want to see if he's somebody that can come out of the bullpen and help you like that. That's the thing you do with a
Right.
player like that right now. You want to shore up that bullpen in case somebody stumbles out of the gate, gets off to a bad start. You can bring them in early in the game, and they can attack that opposing team and shut down their batting order and give this offense, which is proven you're never out of a game with these guys. Give them a chance to get going. So that's what you want to do. I'm watching Philadelphia, man.
They
The
scare
ghost
me.
of
They
the
scare
ghost
me.
of
I'm gonna
last
be
season.
honest.
The
I can
ghost
be
of
honest.
last season, man. You know what I mean?
I'm scared. I'm scared of the Phillies.
And
Like I
here
don't
they
know
come.
why.
Here they come. They look right. Here they come, kind of creeping in, right? They say we're gonna hit the wild card. That's all we want to do is get in. I'm watching them dudes, man. I really am, and see what happens because that's what happened last season. We had this strong, finish and get there, and all of a sudden this Phillies team just came in with this pitching that just shut our lineup down. I do hope. I do like the fact that we're using the speed that in this lineup because to me that's the difference. Pitching is the difference in the postseason. You're not going to go out there and hit home runs all over the place, and it's nice to see
Yeah.
that. It's great to see right now.
It
That
switches
stuff
up in the playoffs. Yeah.
that stuff goes
Mhm.
away in October.
Yeah.
Can you produce runs? And this is a lineup that should be able to. If you got to play small ball, play small ball. Drop it in
Yeah.
and run.
Yeah.
And so I hope that we've seen enough of that type thing where we produce some runs. That's the thing about this lineup by having Acuna and Michael Harris right side by side in his batting order right now
Right.
because you're going to get that poison on
Like an
the
extra
base
leadoff
pass.
hitter.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that makes a difference in how you can produce runs. I hope they continue to do that going down the stretch here at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I think the versatility. I'm always sound like a football coach. The versatility
Yeah.
that they play with, like the style
Yes.
that you play with.
Yes.
I think that matters. It matters, like when you come into the playoffs, because you have to be able to be versatile. Because, like you said, you might run up against an Aaron Nola, and
Yeah.
like he might pick 7 innings of no hit ball or 2 hit ball and no runs. So those are some of the things that can happen, and you get mold them down 8 strikeouts or whatever. So all of those things you got to be able to put it together because I think that, that's why I feel like Ronald Acuna is a guy who's going to be much more important because, hey, we didn't see this in 2021. He wasn't on the field when they won the when they went into the playoffs and won the World Series. So I think that this is something that I am definitely looking forward to see is like, hey, soon as a nephew running, as I like to affectionately refer to him as, like as soon as he gets on base, man is going for second. Like, so you better get ready.
Absolutely. And that's the thing I've enjoyed. They adjusted the game really almost to suit him with the shorter base paths, the bigger bases. I'm like, it's tailor-made for players like himself and Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris to use that speed. And so we have that in our lineup. And Albies is out for a minute. We hope we get him back because he was one of the really ingredients that was missing last year. We really missed him sorely. He came back from the injury only to go back on the IL and wasn't able to be a part of the postseason run, the very short postseason run that we ended up having last year. So, hopefully get him back healthy. He is a very important cog in this baseball team.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to him come back. Thankfully, they got some guys that they can hold it down. Nicky Lopez and Vaughn Grissom at some point.
Vaughn Grissom,
will
you know what? I'm watching this guy to see what he does because at the start of the season we thought he was going to be the man at shortstop. We thought he was going to be on this roster, and he has had to go down and play out in Gwinnett, and he's played well out there. He's got a second chance to come up here, and maybe this weekend I'm going to watch to see if he's given opportunities to get plugged in and see what he does. I'm very curious to see how he responds.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see because, like you said, he can be a spark. Like as many sparks as you can, potential sparks you can have coming off that bench, the better. Like the more the merrier, because like you said, it's gonna come a time where it's gonna be 1-0 in the 7th or 8th inning, and they gonna just need a spark. They're just gonna need a spark, and I think that Vaughn Grissom can be that guy. But Sam, this is for the culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's just how we get down on the show. That's just how we roll, Sam. That's how we get down. Today is no different. Sam, when I came across this story, like,
my goodness. What had happened was,
if y'all don't know, Sam and I are both married men, happily married men, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is why this story kind of touches me a little bit. It touches my soul a little bit. So there was this man that his wife had an illness, terminal illness. They told her, the doctor told her that she had 9 months to live. And that can be very heavy when you're talking about, your spouse and your lifetime person that you've been with and for 10 years. I think they had 9 years going on 10. They had been together. The man said he was having a conversation with his wife, Sam. And the wife said, as her dying wish, she wanted to have relations with one of her exes.
Oof.
I know that we supposed to serve our partner, I'm a firm believer in serving your partner, but I think that might be a little too far, Sam. What say you?
Boy, I pray on that and whatnot, because from what I read, he's done everything to try to make her comfortable and fulfill all of her wishes. And so because that's what you do with someone who's in that situation. You know what's happening with them. You've spent the life with them. You want to see them, happy at a time when you bracing yourself for this terrible loss. But at the same time, something like that'll be very, very and you would hope, you don't put yourself in that kind of situation, right?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Because you said, I'm here. I'm doing my best to make you happy, fulfill all your wishes, and then you're gonna wish for this. Right? Hey,
I think that's an argument. Initially, regardless of
it really is. It's gonna be arguments. It's spirited discussion.
Yes,
it comes with a spirited discussion about this topic, and that's
Like it's just weird. It's just weird. And you know, and because it's weird, you know, I think I want to move on because like it just I really feel like I can't say what I really want to say. So, you know, my mama said, you know, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, you know, move the hell on. You know what I'm saying? Which brings me to this, Sam. Like when Tanisha and I got a chance to talk about, you know, how the NIL you know, has been booming in college football. Like there are a lot of young brothers and that are making some amazing amount of money at the college level these days.
Yeah.
But when I came across this story that the state of Georgia is about to have a meeting here pretty soon about implementing some NIL deal
for high school.
Well, like what is going on, Sam? I know you got the intel on it. That's why I want to talk about it. Man, please tell me like this is not real. This is not real.
No, it is real. And the thing of it is, and then the reason the High School Association of Georgia is trying to get out front of it, which they're not out front of it, they're just trying to get in the mix with it, is because there's several players, I'm not going to name them, whose parents are threatening to move them out of state because in other states they can do this. And so yeah, it's just hey, easy over there, easy over there. But you know what? All this moving around, this NIL and transferring and colleges changing conferences, the players are good with it. We the one with the problem.
Yeah,
you know, think about your average guy who's a 4-star or 5-star, and how many of these guys actually went to the same school for 4 years? Okay, so you know how many of them actually went to the same high school for 4 years? You know, a smaller and smaller number of them, right?
That is
so
crazy.
They're comfortable with this. We're the ones that got the problem with it. But you know, there's something. I hope they at least put some governors on it that the collegiate level didn't do.
Yeah.
So it's not stuff that's being used as an inducement to pull kids to different places. Name, image, and likeness is out there for everybody. It really is. It's out there for me and for you and for anybody else that has an image and people feel like your brand attached to their brand is a good thing. You hope they don't make it into kids that are too young, and that's always some parent who's going to say, I got my 10-year-old here who's got this big trophy, and you know, because that's where it's going to go, right? But I think the High School Association of Georgia is really trying to aim to try to keep it away from the middle school level. They feel like the middle school level right now is out, and it really is. That's the volatile level because that's where a lot of decisions are made where kids will go to their high schools at. And there's so many combines and camps and clinics and all-star games that kids participate in. That's where a lot of that type thing happens. So they're really looking at that. But as far as NIL for them, yeah, there are several states. There are a number of states who are already doing this. And think about this. Think about it this way, Jarvis. This state is so well recruited. Think about the coaches and scouts from colleges across the country that come in looking at one kid, but they see another. You want to keep those folks coming to Georgia because, you know, you got the 5-star that's going to Ohio State or Georgia or wherever, but then you got this kid that's Ball State's going to offer him a scholarship, you know, or you know what I mean? North Dakota State.
Georgia Tech now can start getting some star players.
With Georgia Tech's getting some. Georgia Tech's already in. We know what they're doing. They had a couple of high school coaches over there. It's about relationships. You know what I mean? So they that's a game changer.
There's nothing else that is not about. Like
right. Absolutely. So I mean that's what's happening. And now I'm curious to see how this vote goes with the NIL for high school, making them eligible. I don't think it's like that big amount of money, but the idea is kids will be able to achieve some cash, and you hope that the parents are doing smart things with it, not going to go out and buy a bunch of Range Rovers and all that carrying on off a high school kid. You know.
See, my only concern, and we don't have to talk about it because I feel like we can go a whole nother segment about it.
Yeah.
Like if we start tapping to this NIL, I wholeheartedly believe that somebody's gonna start raising questions about all these high school websites because you know they've been making buku amounts of money.
And
if you got my son, if you got my son on your website, and I know the traffic that is bringing to your website and all those ads you're able to put on your website because of all that traffic my son has been bringing to your website, it's money in that. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if y'all gonna go there, best believe.
And I'm
better
gonna
be
tell you what
ready.
happened. The season starting this weekend. I can tell you 2 high schools already that are requiring you to contact them to get press credentials through them. They're 2 high schools. I'll go ahead and name them, Milton and McEachern. You got to go through them to get it because their sidelines are so packed with people getting video for all these different
Video,
so
pictures, and all that
so
stuff.
right so
Wow.
they
Ooh.
so schools are putting their own
Already
individual
started.
credentials you to say the sidelines just going to be overrun with people with little handheld cameras
Yeah, man.
producing stuff because that's how you got also attracts NIL.
Yeah.
That stuff from up on the roof that goes on huddle ain't enough.
Man,
That's
I'm
that's
telling
that's
you.
that's the game
I'm
changer.
telling you.
Here we go.
When everybody start getting greedy, I'm telling you, man, it gets
Yeah.
ugly. It's gonna get
Yeah.
ugly. And I'm like
I won't
said,
say ugly. It's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I call it ugly because I like to forget.
It's going to get interesting, Jarvis. It is.
Yeah,
It
I'm
is.
with you. I'm with you. And we thank you, Sam, for joining us today. And also, we thank you guys for rocking with ATL Day Ones each and every day. We appreciate you. And if you don't know about ATL Day Ones or Locked On Sports Atlanta, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And also, we're on YouTube as well. And we're going to stay free, too. Yeah, we ain't going to be putting up no paywalls and all that stuff. Yeah, you can rock with us each and every day for the free. All our everydayers, we appreciate you and we thank you. And before we get out here, if you don't do anything else with your life, if you don't do anything else with your life, make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, spread love.